What's up, guys? Thanks so much for joining me in today's Hard Money Minute. I've been out for a little bit, but as you can see, I'm unpacking in my new office and ready to rock and roll. Well, in October, Zillow announced it would stop it stopped buying houses through its iBuyer program, blaming a backlog of renovations and limited operating capacity. Well, if you're unfamiliar with the iBuyer concept, you can think of it as flipping houses division of a technology conglomerate. Zillow purchases these houses in cash from the property owner at a discount, and often they'll put some renovations in the property, fix it up, and then list it, and sell it. Right. Well, the revenue from the iBuyer program has generated $772 million during the second quarter of this year. But the problem is they generated all this revenue at a loss of $59 million before taxes. So, that's nice. Well, according to Bloomberg, Zillow is immediately halting this program and plans to sell off 7,000 homes in an effort to recoup about $2.8 billion. Oh, yeah. And they're listing these properties at an average of 4.8% discount on their purchase price. So they're going to turn around and resell them at a 5% discount plus all of their transaction costs. So this news provides a quick reminder, first about how difficult flipping houses can be, and especially at scale. It's a totally different ball game if you can sit there and watch every contractor do every house. But in different locations, around the country, different submarkets around the country, with it's awfully tough. It's awfully tough at scale. Well, the news, it may also be a big harbinger of things to come in the housing market. So here's where I'm going with this. I'm a bit of conspiracy theory, maybe, or theorist, maybe, but I think about there's this scene from The Big Short when the New York hedge fund guys, they jump in a plane and they fly down to Florida to check out the state of the housing market, right? Steve Carell as Mark Baum, he's riding in the car with a real estate agent, looking at different neighborhoods, and they're all talking there, and everybody's happy. And you remember the guy out there in front of the house, like watering the lawn, right? Well, when asked on why so many homeowners are suddenly wanted to sell, she looks over and she says, "Oh, the market's in an itsy-bitsy gully right now." Well, I kind of feel like that's where we're at, and that's what Zillow is. It's kind of a screwy analogy, but think about it like this. Maybe it's just a gully, but maybe Zillow is seeing something a lot bigger coming than, just losing $300 million from their bottom line, right? Because that's what they're doing, selling these 7,000 houses at this loss. So people laughed and, they joke about Zillow a lot because of how insanely inaccurate, some of their some of their Zillow estimates are, right? So, but the funny thing is, in some locations, their algorithm, it works perfectly, right? And everything lines perfectly. And, it's a pretty good estimate of what they're looking for, But, it looks like they didn't do such a great job when it came to this, this iBuyer program. The one thing that Zillow does have, though, and this is a big one, and this is data. A couple of years ago, I don't know if they combined or Zillow bought out Trulia or whatever, but now the companies are together. I always loved some of the functionality of the data that Trulia had. You could run some really neat searches and get background on general property data and locations and buying trends and areas that were really improving. And you could look back for years because these companies have been around for a minute or two, right? Well, with that as a backdrop, I'm looking at this company, and they've kind of tried to morph into more than this data company that sells buyer information and sells ads for realtors. But the truth is, that's where all their revenue comes from, and they're trying to reach into brokerages, and they're trying to reach into this iBuyer, and they're trying to reach out and do some insurance and all this other stuff. And at the end of the day, it's a lot easier to build a to build a website. And I'm not saying it's easy, believe me. I don't think it's easy to build, the platforms and the technology that these guys are building for data collection and interaction and things. And they're really amazing platforms. But at the end of the day, it's different than building a house, or worse yet, remodeling a house, where there's so many uncertainties, there's so many unknowns, that it's very likely that construction is going to go over budget. It's very likely that there's going to be a shift in the property value over a 6-month period. Hey, during a pandemic, hey, I think it's probably pretty likely that there's going to be some shortages from time to time. And so I think that was one sticking point. But another is that they've got all of this data. They got all of this data about trends on where the market is going. And I'll bet you they've got some AI algorithm that crawls through all of this data and kind of puts together some realistic predictive information based on past performance or past, similarities, whatever. That's my concern with this more than anything else. Look, we all know that flipping houses is hard, right? Finding the deals are hard, managing the contractors, finding on the money. But I wonder if this problem isn't just losing money, but it's also, hey, let's get out of these properties now and make sure we get out because we see something coming. So keep an eye on the housing news through the end of the year. The world is in a state of constant turmoil right now, and there's a lot of potential catastrophe balls that are up in the air at this moment. Inflation, supply chains, the soaring energy soaring energy costs, shaky Chinese economy, just to name a few of them. And if one of these balls comes crashing down, it could pull the housing market and the economy with it. Buy smart. That's the truth at the end of the day, right? Cash flow real estate that pays for itself and then some. If you can get long-term financing, it's a great thing to buy. But you always got to have a backup. Just make sure that you're not looking at this market and telling yourself, it's just a little bit of a gully, right? When Zillow and some of the larger professionals are pulling their chips off the table, and we don't want to be left holding the bag. All right, that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, go make some money and have a great day. Take care.